Welcome back to Mike's Movie Reviews. This year's been absolutely terrifying in the best way possible, of course. Horror fans have been treated to some incredible films in 2024, from gothic masterpieces to heart-stopping thrillers that left us sleeping with the lights on. Today, I'm counting down my top 10 best horror movies of 2024, the ones that chilled me to the bone, blew my mind, and quite frankly might just haunt me forever. Whether you're into creepy creatures, psychological terrors, or good old-fashioned gore, there's something here for everyone. And that's not all. Stick around to the end for my bonus picks, including some wild movies that didn't make the main list, but are still some must-see scares for any horror fan. So grab your popcorn, maybe a pillow to hide behind, and let's dive into the horrors of 2024. Coming in at number 10 on my list is Maxxxine. So this film was the third in the Ti West X trilogy. I thought it was very well done. It was a bit predictable at times, but I thought that the acting, the visuals, and the music, and really how it all felt so 80s driven is really what attracted me to this movie. So this comes in at number 10 for me. Coming in at number 9 is the first Omen. I was pleasantly surprised by this film. Typically, a reboot of a franchise or a prequel made several years after one of the original great films, horror films of all time, comes out is not going to be very good, but this was a surprise for me, and I feel as though that the directing and the visuals really brought this forward and was a great prequel. So that's why I'm giving this number 9. Number 8 for me is Oddity. This was the follow-up from the director who did Caveat, which film I have not seen yet, but I do want to. This was great. I was not expecting very much when I saw this in a not very crowded movie theater. I feel like this one slipped under the radar for quite a few people, so definitely check it out if you subscribe to Shudder. It's on there. And I think that this is a great film with lots of unique scares and twists and turns. Number 7 is A24's Heretic. This one stars Hugh Grant, and I thought this was absolutely magnificent for a religious horror thriller type movie. This is a very dialogue-heavy driven film. It really makes you question your morality and what your beliefs are, and I think that Hugh Grant does such a great job of portraying an evil person when he's normally the nice guy, and it all just came together for me, and I thought that this was one of the better religious horror thrillers that I've ever seen. Number 6 for me ended up being one of my favorite films of the year, and that is Late Night with the Devil. This movie just felt amazing to me. It felt like it truly captured the era of the 70s, 80s late night show, and the way it was filmed and shot, how it told the story between the show view and behind the scenes view was excellent. David Dastmalchian did a great job acting as a lead in this role, and I think that he needs to get more lead performances going forward. I think that the story was very unique and just something I wasn't expecting. So again, another Australian horror. This is something that I've been into the last few years. There's been a lot of great horror movies coming out of Australia, and this is right up there, and it's very rewatchable. Share this one with lots of friends, and everybody I've spoken with has really enjoyed this movie. Definitely check it out if you haven't gotten a chance to yet. And that is my number 6 pick. All right, so we're coming into my top 5 now. If you haven't already and you like this kind of content, please subscribe. I'm very close to 1,000 subscribers and I want to hit this goal for the new year, so that'd be great. And thanks to so many of you who have recently joined the channel. I hope you enjoy this kind of content going forward. And if you have any suggestions, please let me know in the comments below. Number 5 is going to be Abigail. Now this one there has been lots of trailers for before leading up to it. I think everybody was kind of sick of seeing those if you've been in the movie theater at all. But this was a surprise hit for me. It tells the story of a young female who turns out to be a vampire, and that's kind of the big gag of the movie, and although they do reveal it in the trailer, and it's just a fun watch. I mean, this is a great party film. This was very well acted, and the story was unique and kept you guessing and had lots of twists and turns. So that's why I'm giving it my number 5 pick of the year. Number 4 for me was Smile 2, and I am shocked that a horror sequel of a modern franchise was such a good film to watch, but it really was. Now, I had enjoyed the first Smile film, but I wasn't a huge super fan of it, although a lot of people are, and that's well-deserved. But this one kind of kicked it up a notch for me. I felt it more mainstream, more relatable. The gore was more fun. The storyline was more fun and intriguing to me. And I remember walking out of the theater thinking, like, did I really just like this more than I liked the original? And I really did. And I thought about it for a long time before posting my review, but this is one of my top horror films for sure for the year. I just can't believe that this was a sequel to the original Smile movie. Also, what made this stand out was the music in it was so great. You kind of saw where the story was going to go, but it was still very entertaining. And I feel that that's kind of what pushed it so high on my list for me this year. So be sure to check that one out if you haven't already. I believe it is on Paramount Plus now. Coming in at number 3 is Longlegs. I absolutely love this film. I've talked about it numerous times on the channel before. However, I think that the acting is really what made it great. I wish that Longlegs, aka Nicolas Cage, was in it a little bit more, but the soundtrack and the score was excellent, and the story was great as well. So this one gets number 3 for me. Number 2 for me, I just got off of a rewatch of this the other night, is The Substance. This is probably the grossest, goriest movie you will ever see, or has been made in the last 10 years. It's a French horror thriller, but it has several layers to it, which is what I think makes it so interesting. It's really deep when you think about it, because it's going into beauty standards, and Demi Moore just kills this role. So there's several layers to this story, and I feel as though the movie hits the mark when it comes to relaying this information, but also being fun and gory. Would I recommend this to everyone? Absolutely not. There are some people that I would never show this to, but if you are okay with gore and body horror especially, I think you will really enjoy this one, and it's definitely one of my favorites of the year. And before I get to my number 1, I do want to throw a couple of bonus movies in here for you. The first one being Red Rooms. I just got off watching this because it had been recommended to me so many times, and it's a difficult watch, but not for the reasons you may think. The subject matter is really what's interesting here. It kind of delves into dark web territory, talking about these elusive red rooms where certain crimes take place that nobody really wants to see or be a part of. And it doesn't show any of that stuff, but the way you see the reaction and the emotion in this courtroom drama is very intriguing. So you're constantly wondering why people are wanting to be a part of this, and it's very unsettling. The whole film is just very uneasy to watch and sit through. So for that, it is definitely a great horror in my opinion, because it does express that so well. The film is entirely in French, so do be aware of that before going in. Another honorable mention is Speak No Evil. This is a remake of the Danish film of the same name. Now, these two films are very similar, almost scene for scene in some places. However, it does kind of Americanize the ending a bit, and it is not anything like the original. While I do still prefer the original, I think that this remake version is quite entertaining to watch, so it did make my list for this year. Although, if I were to watch one of the two, I would probably go back and watch the original version. Another film from earlier this year is Lisa Frankenstein. I thought this was such a fun idea. It didn't quite make my top 10 list, but I just thought it was such a fun time. I think that the cast, especially Cole Sprouse, without having any really speaking lines, did a great job, and it was a very fun and entertaining watch. So this is a good one to watch with your friends if you haven't seen it yet. Definitely check that one out. And one that just barely missed my list this year is Terrifier 3. You know, you have to have a certain mindset going into these Terrifier movies, just knowing that you're going to see lots and lots of gore, and it's for, fun, as they say, I guess. But Damien Leone definitely did an excellent job with this film. And, his acting is incredible. He absolutely carried this movie. Was very unsettling to a lot of people. So definitely check that one out if you haven't, if you're interested in that series. If not, I totally get it. You can check out my full review on the channel as well. Before I give my number 1 pick, thanks again to everyone who supports the channel by subscribing, liking, sharing. I really appreciate all of your help in that regards. And I look forward to bringing you lots of great content going forward. And finally, my number 1 is going to be Nosferatu. This recent release, of course, retells the tale of Nosferatu, which has lots of interesting history behind it. And it was actually based on Bram Stoker's Dracula, but due to copyright issues, they changed the name and Nosferatu was born. And this film is just an incredible telling of this tale. I think that visually, it is absolutely outstanding. Everything from the way the people look and are dressed to the way the sets are designed and the cinematography. The score is excellent as well, and I think this is just going to become a classic horror film for decades to come. So Nosferatu earns my number 1 pick for this year. I hope you guys enjoyed my list. What were your favorite horror movies of this year? Did I miss any must-sees that I should check out? Please let me know down in the comments below. Subscribe if you haven't already. This has been Mike's Movie Review. Catch you at the next show.